Donald Trump, as a little boy, his father would scream at him, "You're a loser, you're a loser, you have to be a killer."
He was right.
Well, welcome back to America Who Hurt You. I'm your host, Sarah Jones, and I can't believe this is the last episode of season 2. But as you probably know by now, this is the pod where I sit with our brightest minds to help us get through these very dark days. And this week we are ending with a special live episode that we filmed with the hilarious comedian, author, and director Aida Rodriguez. Plus, we even did a Q&A with the audience. My characters came out. You are definitely going to want to watch this one on YouTube. And great news if you're in LA. You can catch Aida, me, lots of other performers, plus DJ D Nice, July 17th at the Ford Theater. Go to my socials at Yes, I'm Sarah Jones and America Who Hurt You for more info and tickets. And wherever you are, make sure you stay in touch with us. You can go to americawhohurtyou.com to sign up and find out where we're going to be doing more live events near you, including the live new play, America Who Hurt You, based on this podcast. We can't wait to see you. And in the meantime, enjoy this episode with the one and only Aida Rodriguez. So, how's everybody doing? Yeah? Well, I don't know about you, but I would love to hear a voice that comes out of a body besides mine. And so I am so excited that I get to, let me see if I could probably just tell you from memory why, all the reasons I love Aida Rodriguez. She's an author, a producer, a comedian, a writer, a director. You may know her from her time on Last Comic Standing, where she was a huge standout. You may know her from her special Fighting Words on HBO Max. Clap it up if you have seen that. It is hilarious. You may know her from her book, Legitimate Kid, which if you haven't read it, it is poignant, it is gorgeous, and you can still get it at an independent bookstore. We ain't helping Jeff Bezos do no more damage. And you can hear her on her amazing podcast, Say What You Mean, which is everywhere you get your podcasts. And I got to be on an episode too, so this feels like poetic exchange. And I just want to bring my brilliant sis up here. So Aida, where are you? Yay! Aida Rodriguez, everybody!
She's brilliant. Brilliant, I tell you.
You know, I want to start by, like, for folks who don't know, you're not only a comedian, you're a political commentator. Yeah. Like, say more about that, like how that is such an integral part of who you are.
Oh, shit, I'm barely a comedian right now.
This ain't shit funny. Shit ain't funny right now.
It ain't funny. So, yeah, you know, I came into the game as an adult. And I think stand-up for me was always just an opportunity to use my voice to shed the light on people that who don't normally get the microphone. So the jokes have always been layered with, you know, political and social commentary, specifically like talking about colorism, being Latina, understanding the erasure of Blackness within our community. So it always, I mean, my heroes are, you know, George Carlin and Richard Pryor. And people don't want to hear those kinds of things coming from this kind of body. You know, people tell me, stick to comedy all the time. And then you'll go look at their pages and George Carlin is their favorite. And I'm like, oh, you just don't want to hear a woman of color say these things. But so for me, it's always been married. Like, I've never been a goofy ass Hollywood bitch. Like, I never.
I'm sorry. That's right.
It's never been.
I've never been a goofy ass Hollywood bitch.
Never.
It's going on my epitaph.
No. So for me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if anybody is offended by that, because they happen to be a goofy ass Hollywood bitch, but I've never been. So to me, anything that I do artistically always has to have message, because that's just who I am. That's not even, I'm not performing that. I wish. I try sometimes to say, lighten it up, try not to be so heavy. And then I'm like, you anti-indigenous mother. You know, I can't help it. It's just not who I am. And I've just had to accept that. And in a season where now people are pushing back on that because, a lot of racist straight white men who are in comedy who ushered this into what's happening right
They
now
really did.
were crying and saying that they were being erased. Um, it's not as popular, but I've always been, what's up with it? Let's talk about it. I'm confrontational. It's just who I am, and I'm done. I'm done trying to tone it down.
Whew, that part. Thank you. 'Cause,
I'm done.
I mean, toning it down is how we got here,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
I want to ask you about, so on Say What You Mean pod, you're helping give other people that gift of, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't even call it confrontational. I would say you're a truth teller.
Yeah.
Were you? I know the answer to this, but would you say you were always a truth teller, or did you have to like come by it through? You know what I mean?
One thing about we pride ourselves in being truth tellers. Like I've learned to say I'm telling my truth, right? Because I think it feels kind of like bully behavior when you're like, I'm telling the truth. And it's like, it's your from your perspective, based on how you shape that perspective based on your own experiences. But I grew up in the hood. I grew up in the inner city between the Bronx and Miami, Alapata. So I grew up with people who told the truth all the time. And sometimes it was hurtful because ghetto children are evil. Uh, we could be evil, but it's just a defense mechanism. We're just surviving, and sometimes we develop thick skin. Um, Payless shoes were not the popular shoes,
Woo!
and if you wore them, there was social consequences, and these are the things that many of us come from these places and we develop a thick skin. We have to be trilingual, like we have to speak English, we speak AAVE. I grew up in a predominantly Black and brown neighborhood where we spoke AAVE. I've never been ashamed of it. I'm always proud of the people who were able to find ways to communicate in spite of. And so, I have been someone who's always been like, this is my truth, and I'm sorry if it makes you feel frail.
I'm sorry if it makes you feel frail. It's like diabolical. Because
I
it's
didn't
very
do it.
compassionate and then it's like,
Yeah, because I didn't do it. I didn't do it. You came here with that. And now I just shattered a little piece off, and now you want to blame me for the whole thing. And we're not doing that.
we're not doing that.
Mm-mm.
So this is so fun for me because you and I have been talking about, how can we play more together? Not
Yes.
everybody
Yeah.
is having this kind of conversation
Right.
and wanting to have fun with it, but
Mhm.
also aware that, as you said, comedy can be used literally. Theo Vaughn and, Joe Rogan, these people are allegedly comedians who helped usher in the most unfunny period I can imagine in America.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's almost like we get to do, how do I put this? Like, do you feel a responsibility? I think you do, but the funny part, the joyful part, right? You're not a pundit on CNN. You're not,
I don't
right?
want to be.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But what is that? Because do you feel like people can hear you better when there's laughter, when there's joy?
Yeah, they also hear me. I mean, when I was on the Young Turks, they were listening to me because I was speaking, as Malcolm X says, El Haj Malik Shabazz, the great one, said, "You speak so that a fool on the street can understand what you're saying. I don't have to be condescending. I have a very good grasp on SAT words. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I know what ostentatious means, but I'm not gonna I'm not going to reach people who don't have the benefit of an education that way. And that's why we are where we are today. Because FDR said a long time ago that the greatest threat to our democracy was a lack of education. And that's what we're seeing in real time. People's wounds are being dressed with political agendas that they don't even comprehend. And now we are where we are. And it's all this divisiveness is a result of the powers that be trying to divide us. And so I feel like, for me, it's always it's in the in my I feel corny sometimes saying my brand, but it's part of everything that I do. When I'm directing a comedy special, I've turned down several comedy specials to direct because I don't believe I'm not rocking with a person and what they're saying, because I do believe it is my responsibility. And if you're harmful to the people who sound like me, look like me, whether they light bright or as dark as they can be, they belong to me and I belong to them. And I'm going to use this vessel to always stand up for that. And so, yeah, I think it is my responsibility. And I think the fact that people don't want to have a responsibility, and I'll say this here because I know that this is controversial. I see it on TikTok all the time when you'll see Latino kids, Latinx kids out their grandparents for being anti-Black and racist, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, it's not my responsibility to educate my grandmother. And I'm like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is your responsibility to educate your grandmother. It is not your responsibility to educate the Karen that's harassing you on the street. But it is 100% your responsibility to educate your village because we are a village people. That is what they stripped us from the beginning.
Yeah, that part.
Right? Yeah. So they took our village from us, right? They took Miss Anita telling you get down the street before she gets you because you know the street lights are on. They took that from us,
Yeah.
and now we are we are so in this individual season that we are suffering as a result of it. It is 100% my responsibility to tell my mom, that's not okay for you to say, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because a lot of our great grandmothers could not read, and they went and worked at a factory so we could go to college and learn ostentatious, and that is how we pay it back. And that's how we pay it back. We cannot be so arrogant that we forget our village. And I think we see a lot of that, and that's where you see this push against the intellectually elite and all of that stuff. And it's just, all of that is just bullshit. The truth is, it's gonna all hands on deck.
Right.
The civil rights movement happened because white people, Black people, Latinos, all of them got together and said, no. That's what has to happen
That's
now.
right.
That's what has to happen. Talk to people in person.
Yeah, talk to
and
people in
Start
person.
with your own
Yes.
network, because even in your own network, if you allow people to just be who they really are, they will let you know that everybody doesn't agree with everything that you and why who wants to live in a world where they're surrounded by people who think exactly the way that they do? How do you grow
Right.
in that setting?
Like the interesting thing about TikTok or, like the social media landscape, it's an attention economy. So it's really tricky, right? Because you do want to be on there, you do want to be engaged. And at the same time, if they could have you for 25 hours a day, they would.
Absolutely.
And then you don't have you and we don't really have each other. How do you navigate that? I'm curious, I'm curious to hear from you. And because I struggle with it. I want to be on there. I want to be helpful. I can feel my self-worth plummeting as I get on there with all the compare and despair that's baked into it. How do you do both? How do you kind of balance both?
Well, I don't do a good job at it. You know it.
We both terrible at it. No, she's good at it.
Social media is so dangerous because it is constantly reminding you of what you don't have.
Right.
And the problem is that the people who are showing you what you don't have it either.
Right.
Most of the miserable people that I know are wealthy. Some of the richest, famous people that I've hung out with or been in the presence of are the saddest people. They don't know who's around them for real. Like I have my same friends since I was in the hood, and I know that if I work at Subway or if I get an Oscar,
they're going to ride with you.
Laura's going to be there.
Yep.
But those people don't know that. And then they have teams and they have all these people feeding them. I have people who will chin check me on every level, from people who work for me in this entertainment business to the hood that'll be like, let me holler at you right quick. You need that, right? Yeah. And so I think social media is just something that it is designed to make you want to buy stuff, right?
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes.
So, because if it makes you feel, first, marketing is creating a need for, right?
Right.
So if they tell you you're getting older and now that there's these magical doctors that can give you the facelift that makes you look whatever,
Like Kris Jenner.
or you can get your
Sorry.
yeah, right. You could that's
it's
what it's for.
19. It's
But
crazy.
it's money.
It's money.
all capitalism, and it's really toxic. So much. I have a joke about this, and I know that it's funny and people laugh, but it's also very sad. They have actually removed. They used to put missing children on milk cartons. Remember, they don't do that anymore because ain't nobody gonna want to buy the milk, right? If they see some little kid
Wow.
on there, it is depressing. They removed children from the milk cartons. That was something that we saw every day. Better than an Amber Alert. It's in your home, and they don't even do that anymore. So when you are on social media, it doesn't matter if you're 14 or 84, just know that that is designed to
Yep.
make you buy something. So it's always going to make you feel like you have a deficit, and that the way to fill it is by spending money. And that is so harmful,
Yes.
harmful to people. And so
Yes.
I try my best to stay. Man, I done bought these dumbass TikTok pants because I I really I was
neck
like, yo,
cream. Mine was a neck cream.
oh,
I fell for
I
it.
got the neck
I fell
cream.
for that roller. I was like, maybe.
And you believe it, and you
believe
know in the from the most logical place that lives
You know
in
it. You know them pants.
You know
It's
that
not gonna
ain't
work
nothing.
out with them
Your
pants.
grandmama used to put that Pond's. It's the same thing. It's the Pond's. You better off with the Pond's cold cream than you are with that dumbass roller.
From Beverly Hills.
That roller ain't gonna do a damn thing for your neck. But you don't. It's the programming, and it is constant. And poor women. Women are leading households. They're getting at the best educations. They're making the money, and are always being told what's wrong with them.
Yes.
We interrupt this program to remind all women that there is nothing wrong with you or your neck. Please put the TikTok cream down. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. America Who Hurt You is proudly supported by LA Material, and Lord knows we need something to be proud about these days in America. But LA Material is a brand new independent news outlet focused on all things Los Angeles. Their free, I repeat, free daily newsletter offers a mix of original reporting, scoops, analysis, and conversation-driving stories. Founded by some of the best journalists in LA, including Pulitzer Prize-winning talent from the LA Times, BuzzFeed, LAist, and SF Standard, LA Material was built for Angelinos who want to understand the city and not just be stuck in its traffic. Subscribe for free at lamaterial.com, and don't forget to follow them on Instagram at Los Angeles Material. Thanks again to LA Material for your continued support. We are back with my friend Aida Rodriguez, who, as usual, is brilliantly raging against the machine.
So I want to talk about the antidote to some of this.
Sure.
And you talk about doing your own healing work, right?
Okay.
Because facing all of this stuff, I keep thinking about part of the reason this country is in the situation it is, and I know it's global, it's everywhere. But when harm happens and then you pretend it doesn't, but there's still grief. Whether you consider yourself a trauma survivor or not, just living through the pandemic was a trauma that we all just sort of had to pretend, dissipated, and now we're all fine. That's not what happened. And the architect of why it was so bad is back in his ballroom, retrofitting bathrooms and shit. So, sorry, I went down a rabbit hole. But the point being, what do we do? I feel like grieving, like the trauma breaks us down, but grieving and facing it puts us back together.
Well, I will never allow myself to believe what the machine tells me, right? And the machine is telling us now it's a wrap. Like this is over. Whenever they try to tell you that, it's not, because if it was, they wouldn't have to say it.
Oof.
So the fact that they're constantly trying to shock us into being afraid so that we can be paralyzed and not move is because they know that if we move, it's way more of us than them, right? That's just numbers.
Yep, it's just
That's
math.
statistics. But the thing is that we do have to focus on community in our village, right? Our healing is going to come from us. Back in the day, we would go to the healers. We didn't have a therapist, right? We would go to the healer. We have to talk. Men have to have, this idea that trauma isn't valid if it doesn't look like yours is a
Right.
very big problem in this country.
Oof.
The idea that privilege exists, white people have privilege. There's still a lot of poor white people in this country, and they are suffering, and their suffering is valid. And the minute we invalidate that suffering, none of it matters, because we're not going to recruit those people for the greater good, and that's what we need to do. Americans are taught a bunch of stuff that they'll never use. When's the last time you used the Pythagorean theorem?
You know what? And I know what a protractor is. So
But you ain't building houses, you ain't never pulled out one of them up. You ain't never been like, you know what? Let me get this line straight. We don't do that. But they don't want, they're taking geography out of a curriculum.
History.
There's no financial literacy.
Right.
And that's what we got to focus on. We got to stop waiting on somebody to come save us. Black and brown people are miracles that walk the earth. And that is not to invalidate white people, but it is, if you tell me that I am the descendant of someone who was enslaved, and I was, because I know my history, right? Somebody that was just a few generations ago was enslaved, couldn't read, didn't have agency, and I am sitting here with you.
Yep.
You are sitting here with me, with the amount of things that we've accomplished, right? You are running a race where you have been two hands tied behind your back and one leg. Somebody had a head start, 8 laps, and then you still caught up. You are a walking miracle, right? Miracle. If you are a woman, just think about how many generations ago women couldn't buy their own homes.
Couldn't get a credit card.
Couldn't get a credit card.
Without your husband's signature.
Miracles, walking miracles. And so we have to hold on to that, because they are telling us otherwise, right? There's this narrative about DEI. You took DEI away, we still gonna thrive, because that's who we are. That's what we've been doing.
That's right.
You think your little bullshit ass quota is gonna help the collective? All these black women that went to college and got degrees and got educated, you actually think y'all did that? That's corny. That's really corny. And so it's mad corny.
It is.
And so the thing is, we can uplift people without having to berate others. And this whole idea that that's the way it is all by design. Because the truth is that we are so watered down, we're so divided,
right,
that we don't feel like we have collective power, and we do.
We do.
We just got to get our act together, and it begins with conversation.
Yeah.
It sounds very minimal, but your ability to connect with another human being is a superpower, especially today when people don't know how to communicate, because all of the communicating they do on this.
That's right.
Right? So having conversations with people who don't look like you, don't sound like you, don't think like you, like even people who are in the cults, because they are actually in a cult, right?
Yeah.
That you're not going to get them by outsmarting them, embarrassing them, humiliating them. You got to remember that the reason they got those people is no different than the way they got the Bloods and the Crips and the MS-13. It is the wounds.
Yes, they're
it's
wounded.
You need family, you need community.
Belonging.
We got you.
Belonging. Yep.
And so we have to appeal to that. And whoever feels like it's not their responsibility is going to be part of the reason why we perish, because it is our responsibility to look after our siblings. It is our responsibility. And we need that now more than ever, because those animals that are feasting at the top don't give a damn about any of us.
So Ida, yes, clap it up for that. And you're reminding me, and this is a sensitive thing, this idea that our politics are driving our trauma, and our trauma is driving our politics. They're in a loop.
Yeah.
And if we don't interrupt that loop, we're going to keep getting what we have. And I'm not absolving anybody of responsibility for their behavior, but Donald Trump, as a little boy, his father would scream at him, "You're a loser, you're a loser, you have to be a killer."
He was right.
Well, see, don't do that. Don't do that. He wasn't then. Let's go back. Hold on. See, we have a thing about that. I mean, I should just surrender at this point. But hear me out, hear me out. It may be true now. That's fair. But at 7, 8 years old,
No, sure.
you're a child.
Yeah.
And what happened is they shipped him off to boarding school where he became this like calcified little bully who is 70 years later screaming, you're a loser at everybody else. Now, I'm not saying that I want to hang out with him.
No, I know.
You know. But what I'm trying to get to is you can't even spell Donald Trump without trauma. Trauma. Yeah, you have to use the A twice. But we will stop having these dictator, king, baby, deranged, whatever you want to call him, people if we interrupt those cycles of trauma and
I
you know
agree.
what I'm saying?
I
Yeah.
agree. I listen. I don't think at this point
right.
those people are our responsibility.
No, not anymore.
Because there are
They're too far.
millions of people who did not get their benefits on the first, and for me, that's a priority. But I will say, sure. I think the problem with Americans is that this is social media. This is what
Yes,
what
yes.
has happened. People's political identities. They are finding an identity in their politics. And this is the Yankees and the Red Sox,
Right.
the red and the blue. And so unfortunately, we have forgotten about policy, right? Because I remember being 18 years old and registering as an independent. And I was like, I'm going to vote for the issues. I'm not going to allow myself. And then somewhere along the way, this became this thing. We have to allow people to have their point of view, even if we don't agree with it. I am pro-choice.
Mhm.
I grew up religious, and I grew up around people who do wholeheartedly believe that if they have an abortion, they're going to go to hell.
Mhm.
I am never going to reach that person if I'm always chastising them, challenging their beliefs, insulting their intelligence. That is not the way.
Mhm.
And that this is what we've become. You don't agree with this. Now, there are some things that are deal breakers, right?
Like
for
if you're
me.
harming other, like that's the thing, right? It's like your opinion is
Yeah.
fine up to the point at which, I mean, I think James Baldwin, I'm
Of course,
butchering it,
you
but
disrupt somebody's humanity,
Exactly.
and I'm here for that. But I think we got to learn to, and I don't know when this happened because this happened. I think social media has a lot to
It's-
do with it. But I do think that we're just incapable of having conversations with people who, look how many people think that Zoran Mandani is a communist.
right.
And the greater
Or an
problem
anti-Semite.
is that they don't know what a communist is.
Right.
They don't know what a democratic socialist is. They
Right.
don't know what socialism is.
Right.
They don't know that they benefit from socialism in this country.
Right. The military
don't-
is one of the greatest socialist organizations. I don't love what they do, but it's, they get people housing, they give them health care, they give them a job. My
Yeah.
father was in the military, and I remember him saying, low key, he didn't say low key, but this is socialism. And it's true.
100%. They
Yeah.
also get food stamps because many of them cannot afford to
That's
live
true.
on the amount of money that they get to go risk their lives
That's right.
to fight for our alleged freedom when a lot of times they're just fighting for capitalism.
That's right.
They're fighting for oil, they're fighting for land,
That's
they're fighting
right.
for white supremacy.
That's
And
right.
listen, I tour with those kids. And I say kids because when I went to Korea the last time, I did 5 weeks in Korea.
This is for USO?
MWR. I did 10 different bases, and the majority of the children, they are children, were under 19 years
Yep.
old,
Yep.
and they were all black,
And
brown, and
poor.
white
Yep.
from the
Working class.
Midwest.
That's right.
They came from, a lot of them came from Michigan. And those recruiters are at their high school, bringing them McDonald's and Burger King
Yep.
to get them to sign their lives away.
Yep.
And so going to the DMZ line where I had to perform for 50 young men who were about to be deployed into active combat, and 70% of them were not coming back.
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
sitting there thinking, this is a scam.
Yes.
And these babies, because they were babies, they were doing the Soldier Boy dance when I was there. These were
Wow.
children. And I was like, we got a problem. We
Yeah.
have a problem in this country, and it is greed.
Yes, yes, yes. Everything you're talking about, the military, and I mentioned, my dad paid for medical school with the military,
Yeah, my
right?
uncle.
So it's this complex situation where when you put profit over people, when it's not really government by the people, it's, oligarchy or kakistocracy, which Nereida loves to remind me. If you don't know that word, I love it. It's a Greek word that means government by the worst, but she reminds me that in Espanol, kakistocracy sounds like government by the shittiest, which is also accurate.
I think kakistocracy needs to be our collective word of the day as a country. I'm going to take a deep breath while we take this quick break. We're back, and now it's time for Aida and me to pass the mic to the amazing audience members who are also navigating this intense political landscape in their own lives.
I want to open it up. If anybody has a question for Aida, for me, or for a character, I think we have time for like a couple of questions, and just wait for the mic to come to you. And in the meantime, I'm going to have somebody who wanted to get to say hi to Aida come out and say what's up. All right. All right, so hold up. Before you ask your question, back there, my name is Rashid. What's good, y'all? I want y'all to see me up front. I just want to serenade this person right here. Yeah, I'm the only dude Sarah Jones bring with her. She called it a one-woman show. It's mad awkward, you know what I mean? But anyway, Aida, I appreciate you so much, and I just wanted to, before we get into questions, I just wanted to give you love. Sarah Jones appreciates you, and she told me I'm not going to hit on you, and I'm not.
I appreciate you. You sound like my favorite mistake, Rashid.
He's based on one of my favorite mistakes.
Hi, thank you both so much. This has been wonderful. Sarah, me and my sister saw you. We saw you for the first time when we were 14. We saw Bridge and Tunnel in New York.
Oh my God.
And so we were like, yeah, we're coming tonight. And Aida, we're big fans. My question is for you, Aida. So you were saying it's really important to be in conversation with people who don't agree with you. Recently, as a parent, I had that sort of experience with another set of parents. You go on a play date, you're kind of forced to hang out with the other parents. And they were saying some things that made it clear to me that we don't agree when it comes to like LGBTQ people and their inclusion and like trans identity and stuff like that. And I was like, what do y'all mean? And so we had actually like a long conversation about it. And I left feeling like, I feel like my kid can't play with them anymore because I don't want him to internalize those beliefs. And I don't know who my child will be. They're 4 years old right now. And I'm just, but at the same time, I was like, by closing off this relationship, am I not doing the work that I need to do? Or is it harmful to stay in community with people like this with my child? So I'm wondering your thoughts.
Great question.
My personal opinion is that you did the work and then you made an executive decision based on harm. And I personally would agree with your decision because first of all, that's your child and you ultimately are responsible for how you shape that life. But if you have a conversation with somebody and their beliefs are rooted in dehumanizing somebody else, that should not be somebody in your community. I think you did the right thing.
Beautiful. Are there other hands that we can get to without? Okay, yes. Great. Hi.
This is so amazing. Both of you are such wonderful inspirations. I wanted to know, in these dystopian times, what do both of you do to stay hopeful?
You go first.
I'm gonna go first.
I just spoke.
I
just spoke.
Okay. So I will say this keeps me hopeful. I get to play and have joy and be with you and be with Aida. And, this is play for me. There are a couple of friends who you could tell they're coming out. They're like, we want to talk to Aida. How come we didn't get to talk to Aida? So I'm thinking of one person in particular. So this person. I can't see you, baby. Anyway, I know you all the way back there, but I'm going to tell y'all, Aida, I think she been here before. I think she an old soul. And she, she whatever they call it, Afro, Latina, whatever. To me, she just black. And anyway, Sarah Jones put me in the show because I'm a truth teller, like Ida say. And I think if you ain't telling the truth, you gonna get sick, baby. All this walking around here smiling and y'all gotta try to, be on your TikTok and all that. Listen, if you ain't telling the truth, it's gonna hurt you on the inside. So don't tell it to everybody now. Don't get fired from your job. Sorry, I have to interrupt Miss Lady. Anyway, that I stay hopeful by engaging in my art, and I really hope all of you are artists, just so we're clear. Whether you know it or not, or you believe it or not, whatever you do, doodle, cook, garden, be in your art. That will help you stay grounded and hopeful, and do it with other people. That's one suggestion.
I take a lot of baths with stones and oils and stuff that my grandma taught me, los tilos. I have an altar with my ancestors on it in my room. I have candles. I have cascarilla. I do believe in using a lot of the remedies from the motherland where we really came from, and our spiritual stuff. So I have the Florida water, as she said. I have an 8-year-old niece that's my North Star, and that's who I talk to, because she reminds me that we started innocent and that we've been shaped by a lot of our experiences. It reminds me in humanity. And also, I listen to a lot of music, people who are very soulful. I listen to Sam Cooke and Hector Lavoe, people who were doing their work through their music that just reminds me that we are just in a cycle. This ain't new, what's happening right now. And so we will get through this as we do. And so, yeah, I do stuff like that. I dance in my room by myself.
Gotta dance if you can.
Hi. I was wondering, specifically for the grandmothers.
Which one? I have so many. No, I'm kidding.
All right.
My Bubby character?
Yes. You said history has repeated itself. I can think of quite a few ways. Were you thinking of in any specific instances or any ways that history has, history comes around eventually? How has it come around this time?
How much time do you think I have? I mean, thank you for the question, but it's constant. They say, if you ignore the history, you're doomed to repeat it. What do? You heard Ida. We bury our heads in the sand and we pretend that we haven't seen this before when we have. So I wish we would stop doing that, frankly. I'm exhausted. But I think that it's repeating itself in so many ways. The one thing I will say is you young people do give me hope, because a room like this would have been unimaginable when I was a very little girl. My family was considered, very out there, because we had a reform, married we had some Orthodox cousins. Anyway, we were the outliers because we didn't all pray exactly the same way. So this is helpful to me and hopeful, but we must stop repeating. And the AI, I just have to say it. What the hell is going on with that?
I think we have another question. Yes?
You alluded early on that touring or engagements have become a problem and all. And I was wondering if you could share a couple of things if you could talk a little bit about what it's like around the country, how you're being received, and also where presenters may be stepping in and saying, we can't do this, but we can do that. I can use this kind of a program, but not that kind of a program.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. So I will just, being defunded the way my work was so destabilizing, at so many levels. I'm used to being a fairly mainstream, it's I'm everybody. That's usually a good thing, right? And so what I found is my desire to reach across, kind of like what we're talking about now. I do still want to do that work,
there are some people for whom just my appearance, I'm the wrong body, as Ida was saying. It's like, well, we just can't bring you on because they don't say we're not hiring Black women right now, but that's kind of the undercurrent. And wildly, I got a commission. Oxford University knows about this work and said, hey, you're getting defunded there, come here. And so they've commissioned a version of America Who Hurt You. So please come. If you, but I guess I want to say I don't want to be someone who has to go to another country to do my work. And so we are we're trying to work this out because philanthropy, like everybody I'm used to automatically supporting my work, it's very different now. So if you know people who want to help us shoot a special of what we want to do, go to Red States, which is part of what we want to do. Like, I know that there are people who care about this work and have deep pockets and want to support it. Some of them are afraid to be put on a list of Antifa. I mean, it's really crazy right now.
I will say also in the world of comedy, because I do tour the country, what we have been seeing is, one, the bookers are not booking a lot of people of color and a lot of women. They keep using the administration and the DEI
As an
stuff.
excuse.
So whereas 52 weeks of comedy at a club used to be maybe they would book less than 10 women, now they're down to 2. And it has to be somebody who's super
Huge name,
famous and a big name. But people coming to the shows is something that I've never seen before, yelling out racial slurs, people jumping anti-Semitic, anti-Black, people thinking it's funny to say, shitty stuff about, and for some reason, because I am a woman of color, somebody thinks saying something anti-Semitic to me is cool.
It's fine, right.
And I'm like, I don't think it's cool. I don't want to see Israeli. I don't know anybody in my crew that wants to see, that is fighting for a Palestinian life, that wants to see Israeli children or women or people be harmed. Because we keep saying the women and the children, but men are human beings too. We dehumanize men when we talk about this stuff. They're killing the women and the children. They're killing the men too. They're killing teenage boys. But I don't ever want to engage in that. But it's very interesting to see how people feel emboldened to say things
Anything
out
they want.
loud, and how dangerous it feels to be in a comedy club. She knows, I'll talk to her. People will run up on stages now. People have brought guns to comedy shows. This is stuff that we never had heard happen before, because comedy is supposed to be the final frontier where people exercise their freedom of speech. And to see some of the things that have been happening has been very, very, my work has been diminished down to maybe a quarter or an eighth of what I used to work. It's all gone. And I've been replaced with, the weekends are being replaced with just a bunch of straight white guys
Straight white men.
who want to make racial, homophobic and anti-Black and anti-Semitic remarks and call that freedom of speech.
That's where we are. And I don't want to end on that note, because I just want to say you all found us. So please know that your artist community, artist friends, people in the entertainment industry, we're all going through this, and then it's exacerbated if you're a woman of color, if you're queer, if you're, there's all of this happening. So we have more independent ways. We're all trying to build our own platforms, our own support, folks directly. Subscribe if you have it to give. Thank you for showing up for our shows, and spread the word that being together, this is what we need. And I think that as much as we can be together, and as much as we can, pool our resources. That's the thing. They're depending on us to spend all our money on all their corporate bullshit. So I encourage you to think about the ways that you can conserve and save what you have, so that it's only going toward what you really want it to go toward. And keep getting together with each other. Keep listening to Aida Rodriguez. Don't forget to subscribe to Say What You Mean Pod. But you can go find her on YouTube. Don't give your attention to, you know what I mean? Just
really be judicious about where you're spending your time because that is currency. So thank you, Aida Rodriguez, my
Thank
sister.
you.
Thank you so much for being
Wait a
here.
minute, because you like to throw it this way. I will just say it's not an accident that every single one of you ended up here. I want to shine the line back on Sarah and just remind you to support her.
And I want to thank you all for spending your Wednesday evening with us. I hope you keep celebrating the wins that we've had, and let's keep them going. Thank you for being here. We'll see you at the next America Who Hurt You Live.